All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our TruTips Zoom training. It is Monday, December 10, and I am Pam Driesinga, and I'm your speaker for tonight. And for those of you who don't know me, I've been around a long time. I was with our former company for 30 years, and I've been with TruAura, since we launched. I'm a founding member and a leader, and it was really exciting for our team to be honored as the #1 executive manager team back at Empower. So we're having a great time, and I hope you are too. But before we go any further, I want to make sure that you have a pencil and a paper handy tonight. You've got to be able to write things down. So if you don't have one, grab one. Okay, and we're going to need that in just a few minutes. So, and if people pop back on, remind me that I tell them that. There is a chat box going. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a little chat button, and please feel free to ask any questions or comments, anything that you have in that chat box. And you are also able to unmute yourself too. So, I want to congratulate you all for being on the call and qualifying to being on the call. That means that you were active back in November, and kudos to you for that. That is our goal every month, right, to be active. And also that you are with TruAura, and we've made it almost a year, you guys. It's almost a year. Can you believe it? We were talking about this last week at a team luncheon here at my house, and a couple of us were actually in Dallas about this time last year to hear about the new company and to hear about the new products. And we heard from Rick and we heard from Gary, and I really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, but I just trusted those two men, and I trusted my gut, and here we are today, a year later. So I'm excited that you are all here with us. We had kind of a bumpy start, right? It was February before we got our kits, a couple months later than what we had hoped. And, we only had 7 products for what, 5 months? That is crazy. Some of us that came from the other company, we were used to 500 products. So, but we did pretty darn good. And I'm really excited that you are all here and that you were a part of that. Well, then, of course, we had the makeup delay, and that was quite challenging for a lot of us too. But you guys, you know what? We hung in there, and we're still hanging in there. And like I said, it hasn't even been a year yet. So I want you guys to give yourselves a pat on the back for being with us and for persevering and not giving up, because we're just getting started. We are just getting started. 5 years from now, we'll be like, woo, everybody's talking about TruAura because we are the best, right? We know we're the best, but not everybody else knows it right now. So we're still doing a lot of educating, and that's okay. We're going to keep doing that for a long time. I want you guys to think about just a little bit about the past, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months, however long that it's been since you made the decision to join TruAura. How many of you have new clients that you didn't have before? And if you did, raise your hand or whatever, give me a thumbs up. You've got new clients. That's been pretty fun. We've had a lot of new business in our team. I have new clients that didn't buy the other products from me, that knew me for a long time. Some of them couldn't use those products, but now they can use TruAura. So that's exciting. How many of you have clients that followed you from another company? Who's got that? That feels pretty good, doesn't it? And they're doing it because they trust us, right? How many of you have some new team members? Maybe you're on a new team or you are developing a team. How many of you have that? Awesome. Love it. How many of you have learned a whole lot about probiotics and microbiome and how these products work and clean? Yeah, woo! Man, I've learned a whole lot in this past year, and I have a lot more to go. How many of you feel like your confidence has grown in this past year? Awesome. I love it. And how many of you have learned some new skills? Like maybe you've dived into the social media world, or Facebook parties, or beauty breaks, or you've learned some new skills. Yeah, isn't that fun? it's challenging. And I always, that's what helps us grow, by stepping out of our box and our comfort zone so that we can grow. And here's what I have learned. I've learned a whole lot in 31 years in direct sales. But one thing I have learned is that to always focus on the wins first. Okay? Focus on the wins. These are all wins, you guys, and you should be spending some time thinking about this. There's also 3 questions that I always ask myself and encourage my team to ask themselves after any situation with a client. Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a consultation, maybe it's whatever it is. And I want you to write these down, okay? So the first question is, what went right? What went right about whatever it is that you were doing or saying? Number 2 is, what did I learn? And number 3 is, what would I change? So instead of immediately going into, oh my gosh, this didn't go right, and oh my goodness, that didn't go right. No, stop. What went right first? What did I learn, and what would I change? Okay, those are 3 questions that are going to help you tremendously as you continue to grow your business. All right, you got your pen and paper ready? Okay, so I promised you, something that I always say, direct sales is like a free self-improvement course. When I joined direct sales 31 years ago, I had zero confidence, zero. And it grew gradually and slowly the more I shared with other people, because that was rewarding to me. But it was a slow process. But that personal growth is so important. You can learn all the skills that you want, but if you're not growing personally, it just doesn't come together. I heard this several years back, and I didn't understand it until recently, is work on yourself harder than your work. Okay, work on yourself, right? Because when you grow personally and you grow your confidence, it just automatically spills over into your business. People want to be a part of something that's confident and positive. I always say, surround yourself with, positive people and messages. That is so, so, so important. And it took me a while to figure that out, because I grew up on a dairy farm and we worked hard. My dad worked 2 jobs, and I thought that's what all there was in life. We didn't dream. We just worked. I mean, I worked. After school, I worked. I did chores. I did chores on Saturday morning. So I thought, really, that's all that's life about. But you know what? There's so much more. And I've learned to work on myself and become a better version of myself. That's my goal, is to become a better version of myself every day. Okay, so I'm going to try to help you discover those qualities about you and your strengths, because you have a whole lot more strengths than what you realize. Okay, so if you've ever been on an interview, you get asked that question, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And we're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to pretend I'm interviewing you, and on your piece of paper, I want you to write down your strengths. Okay, just your strengths, not your weaknesses, but I want you to write them down. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. I got to set this on my phone. So you guys go ahead and start writing down any strengths that you see in yourself. Okay. All right, we got 1 minute. Don't think too much about it. Just write them down. Ten seconds. Okay. This is a little bit difficult to do, virtually like this because I like to be in front of you. But if you want to unmute yourself or in the chat box, would you write down, if you don't mind sharing, how many strengths you wrote down? Okay. Who wants to share how many strengths they wrote down? I feel like somebody's trying to, Marilyn, you're trying to tell me something about know what it is. Do you see the chat box? How come I'm not seeing the chat box? Hold on. Okay. Okay, Becky, 6. Leslie, 9. 5, 10. Okay, awesome. All right, who would be willing to unmute themselves and tell me what their strengths are?
There it is.
Who would be willing to do that?
This is Becky.
Okay, Becky, let's hear them. And if you guys hear of a strength that she says, and you're like, oh yeah, that's me, go ahead and write it down. Add it to your list. Okay, Becky.
See, these are my strongest strengths, so I didn't write them all down.
That's okay.
But I'm creative, loyal, caring, determined, dependable, and kind.
Nice. Awesome. Did any of the rest of you hear some things that she said? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm that too, right? So add to your list. Okay, now I am going to give you, I'm going to read off a whole long list of strengths. And as you hear them, and as you say, oh yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me, and don't be humble, don't think about it too much. You guys just go with your gut, write them down. Okay, I'll try not to go too fast because I want you to write these all down. You guys ready? Got your paper? Okay, here we go. Honest, organized, planner, dedicated, loyal, fun, sense of humor. I'm not going too fast, am I? Okay. Friendly, caring, sharing, talker. That can be good and bad, right? A good listener, energetic, persistent, positive, patient, driven, a communicator, coachable. I got more. Keep writing. Compassionate, empathetic, a worker, family oriented, a leader, passionate, a seller, a recruiter, focused, work under pressure, multitasker, adaptable. You running out of room yet? Consistent, motivator, reliable, enjoy learning, enthusiastic, high expectations, confident, and embrace change. Okay, now add them up for me. And let's hear some new totals.
One.
What you got, Marilyn?
Coming.
Okay. Oh, Becky went from 6 to 30. Wow. Marilyn, 38. Leslie, 41. That's a big jump. So tell me why. Why is the list longer this time? You can unmute or you can type it in, whatever you'd like to do.
Well, I think sometimes we sell ourselves short on some of our positive things that we have.
We sure do. Tara's got 38. Shelly's got 41. We sure do. We have a tendency of thinking that if we verbalize it, we're being, we're not being humble. We're being braggadocious. People would think we're egotistic. Modesty wasn't on the list. You're right, Marilyn. Being humble. Yeah. And you know what? I really struggled with this for a long time because I was brought up, you don't talk about this stuff. You don't brag on yourself. But these are gifts that God has given us, right? And many of them we have spent time developing. We have, we've invested in ourselves to become, a better version of ourselves. So, you guys, it's no time to be modest. That's a bunch of baloney. Don't be modest because you're really, really good. And I want you to hear me on that. You are really, really good. And you have to tell yourself that every day, especially if you're a high achiever and you want everything to go perfect and you can be hard on yourself. You have to remember how good you are. And as we go into, celebrating we're getting close to celebrating our first anniversary and, a new year, it's really important to think about that, how good you are. Many of you are leaders and many of you are maybe future leaders, and you have qualities to help you be the best leaders that you want to be, if that's something that is your goal. And the strengths are who you are. It's just who you are. It's a fact. It's not a feeling. It's not a feeling that I'm a focused person. It's a fact that I'm a focused person. Okay. So, it's just who I am. Now, I want you to do one more thing for me. Look at that list, and I want you to circle your top 5 strengths. I know this was hard. Your top 5 strengths. Go ahead and circle them, and you can number them if you want, 1 through 5, but at least get them circled for now. I'll give you a minute to do that. I think that was harder for me than even listing my strengths. It was getting those top 5, which really can be your values in life, your top values in life. Let me know when you've got your 5. Who's got 5? Marilyn does. Don't make that one too hard, you guys. Again, go with your gut. I've learned to trust my gut so many times. Um, I mean, I've just learned to do it because when I don't, things don't go so well. But those are your super strengths, okay? And then where you should start, because what you want to do is just really focus on your strengths. How many of you have read John Maxwell? Anybody? He's amazing. He is absolutely amazing. Tons of amazing leadership books, courses, all of that. But focusing on your strengths is the most important thing you can do. So, what about, how does it feel, by the way, to look at those super strengths? Does it make you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, good, awesome. Because one thing about being in business for yourself is that, right, we don't have a boss breathing down our neck, but we also don't always have somebody saying, oh my gosh, you did a great job. And, hopefully, as leaders, we do that for our teams, but I know I don't do that enough for my team. So we got to do it ourselves, right? And we got to say, today, I really focused on my strengths. Today, I was good. I was really, really good. And tomorrow, I'm going to be even better. And you got to talk to yourself because you really do listen to yourself. So if you say, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, oh my gosh, I can't do that. We listen to ourselves, you guys. We have to change that verbiage and say, you know what? I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it. And that is so much more positive than always saying, I can't do this or I'm not good at that, right? So that's another thing that I've learned. That's a whole nother workshop, but just had to throw that in there. So focus on your strengths and your weaknesses. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's what you have a team for, right? So you can work together and you've got, like Becky, she's creative. I'm not the most creative person in the world. I've got really awesome creative people on my team though, on my, and leaders that I know, so that we can work together. I have other strengths, right? So that's why we love to have a team. So John Maxwell says, focus 80% of your time on your strengths. 80%. That was hard for me because I thought I had to get good at everything. Does anybody else feel like that? Like, I got to be good at everything. But you know what? You got to let go of that. So the weaknesses, we're not even going to worry about those tonight, but I'm going to tell you the top 3 things that I know that I can be, are my weaknesses, and probably are for you too. I can be a perfectionist. I want it done right. And I want it done right. I want it done my way usually, right? But letting go of that control can be so freeing. You have to let go of that control if you want to be an effective leader, or effective business person. You've got to let somebody else step in and take over for some of those things. I can be impatient. I want it done right away, right? That's another thing. Some good things take time. Look how long it took us to get makeup. It was a year, I think, after we, were like, okay, yeah, we're going to join True Aura. Yeah, True Aura. It was a year before we had makeup, but it's so worth it because it's so good. The other thing is, I can be really hard on myself, and I can be critical. And I know, we can all struggle. We all struggle with that, right? So those are the things. Those are my weaknesses, right? And those are the things that I'm working on, not focusing on those weaknesses. So so now that you have a list of these strengths, how are you going to share them? How are you going to let others know these are your strengths? Think about that as we plan for the new year. Some of you are leaders, like I said, and some want to be leaders. You got to let people know what you're good at and what your strengths are. Because here's the deal. Again, people want to be a part of something positive. They want a leader who's confident. You don't have to know it all, but be confident in what you do know. And the number one thing is to be honest with yourself, honest with others. And you want honest people on your team, right? If you're looking to grow a team, to me, that's number one. Okay, you've got to, I'm honest, I have integrity, and I expect that from my team. So think about how this is going to affect you in the future, and not even just with your business, maybe with your family and your friends and other relationships. But if you ask yourself this question: would I follow me? Would you follow you? You want people to say, I want to follow her. I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of her team, right? I want to be a part of something positive. There's so much negativity and so much drama in this world. There's just no place for that in TruAura. I know there's no place for it on my team, and there's no place for it in our company, right? We want integrity and honesty. So one more thing I learned that I'm going to challenge you with before we close. Again, this time of year, we're looking at, what we got accomplished, looking forward to the next year. And I know it's a crazy busy time, but you've got to carve out some time before the end of the year and make your plan for 2019. And by carving out, I'm talking at the least an hour, an hour for you to make your plan. Even better would be, half a day. I know that's crazy, right? Like, even that's a struggle for me, but I can make it an hour. And when I really focus, I get pretty creative, right? I think about what went right, what did I learn, and what would I change? So I want you to slow down to speed up. When I first heard that, I'm like, what does that mean? I mean, like I said, our family worked. And I thought that's all we did. And on a dairy farm, you do not ever get away from the farm. You work night and day, 24/7, every day of the week. And I thought that's what you had to do in any business. But when I slow down, I can really get creative, or I can really think about solutions, and I can make a plan and figure out how I'm going to work my plan. So my challenge for you is to focus on your strengths, how they can help you become more confident and grow your business into 2019, and make time to make your plan and then work your plan. Slow down to speed up. So tell me what was helpful about this exercise that we did. If anybody wants to unmute themselves or post it in the chat box, or if you have questions. Anything new that you learned?
Well, I think like we said before, is that sometimes we put everything else above us and we forget about us. And sometimes you just have to take time and say, I did it for this person. Or one of my issues is that I don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. And sometimes I'm run over because I don't want to hurt them. And sometimes you just have to say, I care about you, but I've got to move down the road, and I'm not wishing. I wish them well, but that's very difficult for me.
Okay, thank you for saying that, Becky. The boundaries, I think, are so important. And that can be tough. Those boundaries can be very, very tough. But if we're not healthy ourselves, we can't help other people, right? And there's so many things I learned, especially as being a leader the past 20 years, is, you can't want it more for somebody else than they want it for themselves. You can't help people that don't want to help themselves. You can mentor them, you can guide them, you can walk alongside them, but don't pull them along. I tried that. And, we only have just so much time and energy. And where we put that energy is incredibly important, because we want to be healthy ourselves, so you can't do it for them. And it's a tough lesson to learn. It is. Yeah. Marilyn, we have to truly see ourselves as business women, not just women with a little business. Yes. And read about successful women. Absolutely, Marilyn. That's a really, really good point. Respect yourself, because if you don't respect your business, other people won't respect it. Bottom line. That's really important to me too. Yeah, absolutely. And just because we do work from home or whatever, we still have very successful, rewarding businesses, right? So some people have a hard time seeing that. But that's where the whole strength, that's where it comes in to let people know that you are a successful businesswoman. Anybody else? All right, anybody else have any other questions?
I was going to say also, Pam, that in building our business and in reaching out to people, while the new technologies give us a wonderful entree to some of our younger opportunities, we cannot ever get past it. We've got to just sit down and talk to people. We've got to meet women one-on-one. Women want to interface with a real person, and they want to do business with a real person, and we can't lose sight of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Been a lesson learned. I mean, things have changed tremendously in the 31 years I've been in business. I know Shelley's been in business a long time, and some of the rest of you too. We have, our team does do a lot with social media, and I do too. But I do agree, there's nothing like that face-to-face contact. Yeah, it's important.
Human.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We all need that. And surrounding yourself, I always say you are really the result of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So who are those 5 people, right? Anything else anybody wants to add? I would encourage you to keep those strengths in front of you, like read them every day and say, I am blah, blah, blah. I am, okay? Because again, we hear and we believe what we say. We really do. So it's really important that we're talking positively, not only to others but to ourselves too. We're sometimes harder on ourselves than we are other people, and many times we are. And that that needs to stop. It really does, because we're good, you guys. We're really good. Remember that. All right, ladies. Well, I am going to let you go. I am recording this, so I will get the replay back. Thank you. I hope it was helpful. I just feel like, personal growth is so, so important. Like I said, work on yourself harder than your work. And let's have an amazing 2019. I wish you all a very merry and blessed Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.